and it depends on what that feedback from the community is to determine sort of what the next steps are. An important point, and this has been our process all along, we look at wanting to make ultimately, whether it's a do-nothing or a bigger project than that, a data-driven decision. And HPG's work was one data point. I mean, we also talk about, and part of what the task force is tasked with, quite frankly, is, are there, what do we do from a community survey standpoint? What do we do from a, I mean, we need to hear from people other than who's sitting there. What do you do from a focus group standpoint? How do you really gauge where we are? But so I think we're fine in that process.
The next two meetings were focused more on educational form and function and space, and how space in the 21st century is designed to support teaching strategies. And what does that mean, and what does it look like? And so really build capacity and understanding, and then have iterative, reflective processes of questions around that. And that primarily was the focus of the next two building meetings at all three buildings, as opposed to the nuts and bolts, my word, of the facility audit around here are the recommendations to replace a boiler, and here was the cost. It was shifting that around a conversation, and whether there's a gap that exists between said philosophy, current space, and how it's organized.
And that's really where we're going to need the help as a district, is when you start looking at option space. So, if you look at, we talked about do nothing, there's a repair option, a rebuild option, a remodel option, and what those costs and what that means. I mean, I can predict that there'll be probably computations of thousands of different options, and just figuring out how to figure out what's most cost effective and what those look like. So that's where I'm not worried at all about these meetings this week. I'm not really worried about the next set. So we've got some time to get that help we need in figuring that out.
Having said that, I do think that while I agree, I do think it wise to, with some urgency, get the facility task force together and try and hire the next person or persons that we're going, so that he or she are involved in and hearing the conversations of what's taking place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know you agree. It's just, I do think that is an important step.
And we have that scheduled for
a week from Wednesday.
A week from tomorrow. We would have done it sooner, but we have the building team meeting, so it's about the first available time that we could.
And we have all the work product from Kevin Harrison.
Yes.
And essentially, a lot of districts will hire some person or a firm to do the assessment, and then move on from there. So I mean, essentially, that's, although that wasn't our intention, original intention, I mean, that's where we are. I mean, we have an assessment that's really going to help and guide us in this process. It exists. It gives us good estimates. Once again, that assessment was never meant to be an option. That roughly $44 million is an estimate number, and we've been upfront with that on our end all along, just to give us a sense. But it's really when you get into the options phases where the dollars need to be more specific.
I think also two other relevant points, but somewhat unrelated. The first is we approved a contract with FutureThink for enrollment projections at the last board meeting. Beth is going to reach out to them and just make sure that they're interfacing directly with us moving forward, and we're answering their questions, as opposed to interfacing with Kevin to us. And then secondarily, the athletic facility assessment, Kevin was leading the person that was going to do that, so we need to grab the bull by the horns there and approve a contract to get that done. And we have three, I think, solid leads.
And we have the capacity.
And we have
folks on task.
So just, in other words, Kevin was going to broker that. Now we need to.
You're saying just to hire whatever firm would do an assessment of it.
That's correct. And as again,
and that's everything north of.
That's correct. That's correct.
And in doing that, making sure that whoever is doing that assessment won't be tied to to any work that may or may not be done on that space. Because once again, you don't want you want that as pure as possible, essentially. I apologize. So we felt it was important to just basically update the entire board on where we were, make sure that the board's comfortable going to the task force. Once again, the task force ends up making decisions. They'll take their knowledge base to help us navigate who and what is best to help us facilitate our process that we already have outlined, and then pretty quickly come back to the Board of Education with a recommendation that we can talk through at that point and move forward.
Are there firms that were in the running for the contract?
Yeah, I think yeah, there were. I think we're at a different point now because of the assessments done, in my opinion. When you're looking for one firm to go from, we have really no idea what our need other than our list is a lot bigger than the money we have, to working with the community to figure out what's a solid community option. We've got a major chunk of that done, and so the scope of work looks different. So I think it is smart to go back and look at some folks, but I think it's also smart to perhaps open that up, because we may have folks that are more talented in the facilitator realm that wouldn't have been able to do an architectural assessment. I mean, I'm guessing. I don't have a person. I'm just, I think, and yeah, we want to get it done as quickly as possible. But the nice thing is we do have a little time. I mean, we don't want to. It's just like hiring a staff member, right? When you feel under the gun and you have to do it in 3 days, that tends to be when you make your worst hires. So I think it's important for us to take a breath, decide what our process is to fill that consultant role. And I think it might look different. And it might not be one thing. I mean, it might be here's a facilitator and here's a builder help with option. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that world, that the people on our task force certainly do and can help us navigate that.
In the building meeting, at least as Frank said, is there going to be building principals or who will lead? Like, are they supposed to be the ones doing the tours?
So primarily, yeah, the building principals certainly will be present in each of the 3 respective building team meetings. However, I will, by and large, facilitate all 3 of the meetings. However, I have also asked, given the recent news, that Jamie Lusher and Mark Alter, so Jamie's our Chief Academic Officer, Mark Alter, 21st Century, I know you know, learning coach, and I've asked them to put together a process of building capacity and understanding around when we as educators talk about space and form and function, supporting teaching and learning. What does that mean? What does that look like? And so we have a meeting after this to review that presentation and further vet that out so that it is meaningful and relevant. And I know that they've gotten a good start. So it will be myself and those 2 supporting our process, and they've already created a PowerPoint.
So we'll go through and we'll do the building tours will occur. Once again, and I apologize for the same people that come, you'll hear this over and over again, we're going to talk about what the whole process entails, because what you'll find is different people are different interested in things, and there's some people will love the educational visioning point, and some people will be like, well, why aren't we drawing out a floor plan and talking about what this remodel costs versus that? And that'll be down the road. So I think it's important to go through the whole process, to understand what components are there. And we may have some folks attend the building meetings and attend the community meetings. So I think there's also just that sort of broad brushstroke discussion about why are we doing this. It's a deferred maintenance issue, and it's getting wider and wider that we want to address. So it's good to have discussions about 21st century classrooms, but at the end of the day, that I think anytime you have a facilities meeting, you have to go back and really answer that why. I'm sure you guys, me as a board member, get that question a lot. And the why is really the deferred maintenance gap and not leaving future generations with a problem they can't fix. And we're still on a process to do that. So, any other discussion from the board?
I was going to say, I think we're in an okay place. I mean, not ideal, but okay.
Right.
I mean, if there's going to be an issue with a contractor, I mean, this is going to sound bad. I'm not trying to look at this through rose-colored glasses. This isn't bad timing. You know, if it would have happened halfway through the assessment, we'd have some big breach of contract issues, right? Like, what are we paying for, what are we not paying for?
Right, it's kind of a clean
Right,
cut because your
right.
assessment's already been
Yeah.
done, right?
And you'll see other districts, they'll say, you know, we hire a guy to do the assessment, and then maybe someone else does this work anyway. So, I mean, I think if this is going to happen, and in my mind, you know, there were some issues with the firm that I think it's glad that those came to surface. I'm glad we're able to decide that wasn't the best relationship for this district and come up with a better option.
I think as far as your initial ask, which was whether or not you're okay with going back to task force, I don't see what other option we actually have at this point to keep the process moving. We need to send these calendars out to the community that have dates on it. We need to get someone else in. I don't think anyone, Grant, Jesse, or Andy, have the ability to do what we need a specialized firm to do in order to make the process happen.
I mean, the reason that, you know, what a Board of Education could do is say, hey, let's just speed this up and let's hire someone ourselves and move on. And I think it is important to take a breath and go back to the task force to work through that process. I mean, so, you know, you do have that option there, and I just, you know, wanted the blessing to do that. Once again, it's ultimately the board's decision and the board's hire, just like with any personnel or contract in the district. But you know, I think it was important to have this discussion in an open public forum. I'm very happy that we've got so many folks here. We have a meeting tonight. I'm anxious to see how many of you guys swing by at 7. Maybe we should do all these at 8:15 in the morning.
No.
Okay. So anyway, and part of the reason we did this meeting this way is because this wasn't on the agenda for tonight. What we've said all along, that the transparency of the facilities planning process is very important. So when I put an agenda out, you're talking about facilities, honestly, because we expected that would interest people. And I'm sorry if you wanted something more exciting than this discussion, but.
Can I make a comment? I don't know if there's the ability to make public comment, but to that point, I guess I'll just go ahead.
Yeah.
You've mentioned transparency a number of times, and transparency has been a theme that we've heard about throughout this whole process. And you just have to understand the appearance of having a meeting at 8:15 in the morning on the same day when you're having a traditional, typical public board meeting. The appearances are not such that would suggest you're really interested in transparency. I've attended the regularly scheduled board meetings, and they tend to be, sometimes they're informative, sometimes they're not, but there doesn't tend to be illuminative discussion. And so when I saw on the website that this meeting was happening without much fanfare other than the you know, notice that's required by law, which is posting on the website, you know, kind of stumbling across this, I thought, well, I want to be there because there may actually be content that we wouldn't get at the regularly scheduled board meeting. So I think it's important for you to know people are engaged. People want to know what's going on, and there's a sense in the community that maybe there's lip service being paid towards transparency, but is it authentic?
You know, I would say at this point, and you know, I want to be cautious in the decorum of our meeting. I mean, I'm certainly happy offline, and I think any of the board members offline to have those discussions. You know, I don't want. It's not a debate at a board meeting session. I don't think is the proper setting. I do feel that. I don't want to enter in that debate because I don't want to get defensive on that. You know, all I can say is what I said before is the reason we did this meeting is because we didn't have this discussion item on tonight's agenda, and we felt like all of a sudden we were discussing a facilities option because there are people that follow that specifically when people didn't know we were doing that was a problem. But I appreciate your feedback, and that's something. Any other comments from the board?
just take some issue with there not being any discussion at the board meetings. Mr. Murphy, stockpile, there's been a fair amount of discussion recently. She's our board frequent flyer.
Sometimes there is. There's definitely been an increase, I would say, in the last 6 months, for sure. But I would absolutely echo John's comment that so many times I've had conversations with community members on this exact issue of the perception that decisions are being made in some sort of secret way, and I've always felt really confident in defending that. But I haven't heard anything this morning that could have been discussed in the already scheduled meeting tonight. That's a disappointment. I'm delighted to see so many people here because, as you know, I'm often the only community member not required by contract to be at the meeting. And so this is a wonderful turnout. So that's great. But I think